There's nothing like a day at the beach, the sand, the sun, the fun, the racing. It's the world's fastest beach party. Grand Prix weekend in beautiful Long Beach, California. And we're getting set to drop the green flag on the Firestone Indy Lights. After 2 rounds of the 2012 Firestone Indy Lights Championship, only 5 points separate the top 2. Rookie and championship leader Tristan Vautier.
What a fantastic way to start.
And second-place veteran Sebastian Saavedra.
Fist pumping in the air as the twin checkers fly.
Each have a win under their belts. Now, round number 3. The series comes to the West Coast and the streets of Long Beach, California. Firestone Indy Lights Grand Prix of Long Beach is next. Hi again, everyone, along with our special guest analyst, Jan Beekes. I'm Mike King. Welcome to the beach, Long Beach, California. Round number 3 for the 2012 Firestone Indy Lights Championship, Jan. And, you know, qualifying here is always a great experience. But for Tristan Vautier and for Sebastian Saavedra, really quite a thrill.
It was wild yesterday. And Tristan Vautier has never driven here before, but he's kind of been the man to beat this weekend. He was on the provisional pole, had a faster lap going, and then he smacks the wall. Then he realizes, if I don't bring it back to the pits and I bring out a caution, I'm going to lose my 2 fastest laps. Well, the problem was he didn't pull off at the nearest safe location. He drove all the way back to the pits. They said, no, no, no. That inhibits other competitors. So Sebastian Saavedra takes the pole position. Tristan Vautier now has to start 7th.
And Jan, it was kind of interesting the fact that while all of this was happening with Vautier, Saavedra was setting his fast lap of the session.
Ahead of him in the hairpin, the final moment, pow, that was exciting.
Absolutely. Well, while Vautier has to go back to 7th on the grid, the biggest recipient of his misfortune is standing by with the 3rd member of our broadcast team on pit lane, Jake Query.
Esteban Guerrieri comes in 3rd in points. He was the pole sitter a year ago, and then a pass on lap number 1. You finished 2nd in this race, so you know the track, but does it owe you one?
Yeah, I know the track, and it's a pretty nice event, nice track to race. Obviously, it's good to be in first row. Well, let's try to make a good race, you know. Think about what we can do, how the car feels, and then we go from there.
Obviously, you want to push to try to make up those points, but you push too hard and you find danger. Like you did in practice, you got a little airborne in turn number 5 on those rumble strips. Is it difficult to not push yourself too hard and be cautious in those tight corners?
Yeah, this type of track, you just need to be very precise, you know. You don't have to be too greedy like I was over the curves, otherwise you go to the wall. You know, the walls, they are right there, just beside you. So just push up to the limit, but to feel comfortable, you know, and then it's racing. So now it doesn't matter how is the car. In a way, we should have a good car, but in the end, you know, it's about racing and trying to have a good racecraft.
Runner-up a year ago, Esteban Guerrieri will try to finish 1 spot higher, Mike King.
And Esteban Guerrieri will come into race number 3, 3rd in the championship. But, Jan, I tell you, a golden opportunity here for Sebastian Saavedra as he will lead the field to green and just 4-point deficit to Tristan Vautier.
Sebastian was very highly motivated to get that 1 point for the pole position. They threw 3 sets of tires during qualifying. That paid. He definitely has a great opportunity. But again, Vautier has a very fast car.
Yeah, and Guerrieri can make up a lot of ground today as well. This is race number 3. How about a quick review of the first 2 races of the Firestone Indy Lights season? Welcome to St. Petersburg, Florida, as we get set to drop the green flag on the 2012 Firestone Indy Lights season. So we are racing across the line. Vautier, the Frenchman, to the inside.
Red and yellow now really racing.
Oh, yeah. Side by side.
And Saavedra gets him. So far, Vautier has been perfect.
And in his first Firestone Indy Lights start, Tristan Vautier, a perfect race weekend, captures pole and leads all 45 laps. Second round of the Firestone Indy Lights Championship. Welcome to beautiful Barber Motorsports Park. And we are greened, and it looks like Saavedra will own turn number 1.
Oh, I'm expecting fireworks today. Oh! 1, 2, 3 have a chance to fight it out here.
Sebastian Saavedra for the 4th time will win in Firestone Indy Lights competition. Well, it's been an interesting race weekend here in Long Beach. We've had thunder, we've had lightning, we've had wind, we've had rain. Today we have perfect conditions, and it's time for the command.
Firestone Indy Lights race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here's the manager of Firestone Racing, Joe Barberry, to give the command.
Firestone Indy Lights drivers, start your engines!
So the command to fire engines given by Joe Barberry. And Jan, you've raced this circuit many times. It looks like this weekend, turn 5 is the one that you've got to negotiate safely. However, there's a lot of places that can catch you out on this course.
Turn 5 is a place you have to be cautious of when you're qualifying, but I think there's a lot of other corners you have to be cautious of when it comes race time, because you're trying to defend, which you can do this year in Indy Lights, making sure you maintain your spot. I think it's going to get very aggressive.
Sebastian Saavedra will bring the field to the green flag, his 3rd start in lights here at Long Beach. Will the 3rd time be the charm for him? Firestone Indy Lights on NBC Sports Network is brought to you by TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install. Tire Rack. With Jake Query and Jan Bikas, I'm Mike King. Beautiful day at Long Beach, California, getting set for the 3rd race on the 2012 Firestone Indy Lights schedule. Sebastian Saavedra, 8th here in 2009, 4th in lights in 2010, so his 3rd start. He'll be joined alongside on the front row by Esteban Guerrieri. Oliver Webb and Carlos Munoz go off in row number 2 and row number 3. Gustavo Yakiman and Victor Carbone. In row 4, Tristan Vautier penalized after he made contact during qualifying. Juan Pablo Garcia on the outside. David Ostella and Nick Andries will be in row number 5. Jorge Goncalves and Darrell Wills will make up row number 6. Armand Abraham and Alex Jones in row 7. Alon Day. Jan Bikas will be in row number 8 by himself. Let's talk about your winning ways for this one.
I think, first of all, you have to strike early, right off the start. When the tires are cold, that's when you can make hay. Then manage your tires through the race and bring it home. And the reason I say that, 2 leaders last year, Peter Dempsey and Joseph Newgarden, were leading. Looked like they were going to win, and they smacked the wall. Here we go, Mike.
Yep, this is the signature corner of the hairpin. The field will go side by side across the green line. And now, Jan, the long race to turn number 1 here along Shoreline Boulevard.
Oh, boy.
3 wide, 4 wide. Who's going to win the race? It's going to be Guerrieri into 1.
That was Vautier, red, white, and blue car, closest to your screen, 77. Tried to make a move.
Oh.
Now he's right in between the teammates.
Carbone there in the 3 car, just behind Vautier. But Esteban Guerrieri with the nice dive in. He is going to be the leader off of turn number 5.
That's the turn 5 you mentioned, that lots of drivers. And here comes Vautier up the inside of his teammate Webb.
Got to be careful here. He's going to get the pass done, though, in turn number 6.
Yeah. Hanging it out. Tristan Vautier, like we talked about. And here comes...
That's Carbone.
So team cars, 1, 2, 3, back and forth.
Wow, doing a good battle here. This is the opening lap of this race, Jan.
As I said, strike early.
Yeah, absolutely. The 77 of Vautier had a quick car, good enough to be on the outside of the front row until he made contact. But now he's trying to, as you said, make hay early, strike early in this race. We're seeing some drivers do that.
And Garcia in the Freightliner colors, red and white, just going through the hairpin, also tried to make a move, but got a little too aggressive and locked up the fronts.
So you've got the Team AFS cars running 2nd and 3rd, but Guerrieri with a nice move at the start manages to jump Sebastian Saavedra, And Jan, make no mistake, this is a very long front straight. Heading to turn number 1.
Yes, and if you get a good drive off the hairpin, you can get yourself into position, which is why, obviously, the best place to pass on this circuit is turn 1, but this year you can defend. So we'll see some outside moves and some up the inside.
Well, that is the 77 of Tristan Vautier. What an impressive start to his Firestone Indy Lights campaign for the 2011 Star Mazda champion. Yanni was first at St. Pete, had a perfect weekend, second at Barber, and it
look at this. Woohoo! Yakiman up the inside, throwing it sideways. That was nice.
So Gus picks up a position. So Yakiman will go to third as he gets past Munoz, heading to 9.
That was very nicely done, and at the same time, you've got Vautier working on Munoz as well. See, once you get past, you kind of lose that momentum, and the people behind, they smell blood.
So the 26 of Munoz under attack off the hairpin, and here they come. Gustavo Yakiman takes over third.
And that was an aggressive pass that if it hadn't worked, that would have been ugly, but that was very nicely done. And that Vautier looks anyway on Munoz.
Not going to get it done. But you know, Jan, we've come to expect that sort of move out of Yakiman.
Yeah, but this was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the 77 of Vautier. As we mentioned, the winner at St. Pete. Jan, a couple of weeks ago, he was second to Saavedra at Barber Motorsports Park, and had that race gone green to the end, he would have probably pushed Saavedra because Saavedra's tires were going off badly there in the final
it's
lap.
all timing, though, Mike. You know, you say, well, if there had been another lap, but there wasn't.
That's right.
His timing was perfect, and he had enough tires to get that victory, and well done.
And in fact, it was Carlos Munoz, Saavedra's teammate, who wound up in the wall, who forced that race to end under a yellow flag condition. Heading into turn number 9.
Are you insinuating anything?
I am not.
Okay, good.
Because that was a hard hit. I'm fairly certain Mr. Munoz wanted to bring that car to the green. And there he is in car number 26. He's got the 77 all over him. Jan, the key to getting off the hairpin here. What do you have to do to make it good?
It's actually more having to do with your entry. If you can... Wills.
Darrell Wills with a problem. So the 20 is off course, and Jan, I think we're going to be able to take a look at what happened to Darrell Wills as the Homatro safety crew there very quickly. They're going to push him out of the way to get some help here.
Into 9.
Nope.
So he had a mechanical issue.
So he just drove it into the runoff area. Yeah. So he parks it there in 9. They get him restarted, and Darrell Wills will rejoin it at the back of the field. And it looks like he may. Is he going to bring it to pit lane? Yes, he is. So that's Darrell Wills, and he will become the first driver to return to the pits after a pretty good start here. Jan, let's go back to the start. Take a look as they fanned out here 3 wide to head into turn number 1.
Fantastic formation. I was looking back, watching Vautier go all the way up against the wall, screen right, rubbing, but then at the front,
wow,
you see around the outside, blue and white, Esteban Guerrieri. Fantastic drive. Nicely done.
Yeah, Jake Query?
It's interesting on that start, guys, because just before the start of the race, I talked to Gary Peterson about the maturation of Sebastian Saavedra. Keep in mind, Saavedra finished 3rd in points in the Firestone Indy Lights in 2009 running for Peterson. But Peterson told me he has totally matured, and one of the areas in which he has shown it is he is not aggressive as he used to be now at the very start of races, because he has learned to race for points and bring the car home safely and try to keep himself in that points championship. Obviously, you'd like to take that lead into turn number 1, but at the same time, I think Gary Peterson will tell you that's a little bit of a sign of Sebastian Saavedra's growth as a race car driver in the Firestone Indy Lights. He would have been a little more aggressive in the past.
Yeah, Jorge Goncalves there in the red 4 car just picked up a position on Andres, and Esteban Guerrieri coming into this event 18 points behind the championship leader Tristan Vautier. A win would help a lot, and he's out in front at the beach. He's got the flag stand inside. It has been a perfect day for the driver from Sausalito, California. J.R. Hildebrand starts on pole, and he wins it all here at Long Beach as he takes the Long Beach 100. That was 3 years ago. J.R. Hildebrand, of course, now has moved on to the IZOD IndyCar Series, driving for Panther Racing. But He has taken some time to join us in the booth as we're watching Esteban Guerrieri in front. And JR, first off, welcome and fond memories of this place, huh?
Yeah, man, this is that really kicked off my season that year. So a lot of fun being a native Californian to be down here and have that great of a run at the beach, and we're glad to be back every year since.
It seems like all drivers want at least 2 venues on their resume when it comes to wins: Indianapolis and the beach.
Yeah.
Long Beach. These 2 venues, they're just very, very important.
Yeah, you look at a couple of the names there: Connor Daly, James Hinchcliffe, winning here the last couple of years, and yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is an event that you look forward to on the calendar every year, and you really circle at the beginning of the season. Like, that's one that we really gotta have it together for. So well done by all these guys out here. Now you're looking at Esteban there with a pretty healthy lead.
Yeah, and Jan, of course, in winning ways, but before the start of this race, said you got to bring it home. Guerrieri working on a nice lead right now as we watch Alon Day work on Nick Andrews. But, this place can bite
look out.
you.
He's in trouble. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's
big time
turn 10.
wiggle.
This whole section here is different from last year. And not to interrupt, but coming into turn 9 through turn 10, that whole section, you can see it's really dark pavement. It's all been repaved. I think maybe from the drifting guys out here in Formula D last weekend. But and then the entrance into the hairpin's been opened up. So you've got a lot of grip there on the inside because it's new, good pavement. But once you get outside of that, I mean, you're almost, it's almost like running on an oval. You get in those marbles and you just can't get it back. So I think you'll see a lot of that as we get into the race here.
And JR, that's the point I think I was going to make. Despite having a comfortable lead here, we saw Peter Dempsey have a problem leading the race last year. We saw Joseph Newgarden put it in the tire barrier in turn 8. It seems like you can never relax here.
Yeah, it is a rough place. I mean, this place, it's got a lot of character. For all the character that it's got, it's really because it's so rough and every corner is different. So it's a little bit more difficult to get in a rhythm because you got to approach every corner with a little bit of a different attitude. Can you really brake hard? Do you have to be a little bit easier on it at corner entry? Can you use the curves? Can you not use the curves? And then every year those things, for it being the same basic track layout for so many years now, every corner is a little bit different year to year even. So, even with the Indy cars throughout this entire weekend, we didn't get through a session in practice without 5 or 6 red flags.
Beyond right now, Esteban Guerrieri really building the lead. He has gapped Sebastian Saavedra by better than 3 seconds.
Well, we're at phase 2 of my winning ways, right? The second one was managed tires because, JR, this year they have a new Firestone tire for lights that they tried to mimic what they've done a little bit in Indy cars, that it goes off. Because there was a tire for Indy lights you could just hammer for 100 miles. Now, this tends to go away. So, is Esteban pushing too hard too early?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll find out here pretty soon, I guess. You can see the point spread there is super close. Yeah. So these guys, I think they'll be pushing pretty hard. But man, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes up. They probably haven't, with the weather and all that kind of stuff that's gone on, they probably haven't really gotten a lot of green running in practice. So this is probably the first time these guys have really run for a long period of time.
So J.R. Hildebrand joins us in the booth. Jake Query down on pit lane.
You were just talking about whether or not Guerrieri might be pushing too hard too early. Tristan Vautier, he made up 3 spots at the beginning. Sam Schmidt told him, okay, nice job. Now let's start saving those tires a little bit. So maybe the conservative game is indeed one that's also being told to Esteban Guerrieri.
And there's still 30 laps remaining. That's still a lot of racing on this course.
And I'm watching the gap. The gap is increasing. It's 3.4 now. It was 3.05 earlier. So at the moment, and I think for Sam Schmidt to say that, JR, is that he realizes that Tristan would have to really use a lot of tire to get past guys like Jakob. So at this stage, take it easy, maybe get a caution.
Yeah, those guys are going to race him hard here. So you've got with Saavedra, Jakob, and Guerrieri here right in a row. There's not too much with this kind of, as you say, with this much race left and how rough this track is and how easy it is to make small mistakes. For a guy in Vautier's position right now, probably not any real rush to be pushing super hard with those guys in front of him.
Yeah, Sam Schmidt Motorsports right now out in front with Guerrieri. Vautier is running fourth. In fact, all of those cars in the top 8. But JR, at the same time, you can't let Guerrieri get away too far. I mean, you got to at least keep him in your sights, right?
No, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, that's a big piece. That's the mental game here in Indy Lights, just because it is a sprint race. You can't really count on the yellow flags. I know when I was here, I hit the wall on my big piece of it was trying to instantly put that gap on the guys behind you, because you knew that that could break them a little bit mentally. If you could show that, you know, you could keep pulling away, then they almost, you don't really have that chasing the rabbit kind of situation going on anymore. So I think that's probably what Gary Aries doing here. And to be honest with you, he looks pretty clean. When you watch him going around the track, he's not tail happy. He's not sliding the thing around too much. So I'd be surprised if he's overusing his car at this point, just based on how it looks.
Look who's back. Alain Day.
Yeah, Alain Day once again, the battle with Andries. As we watch from on board, Andries' car looking out back as they head off of turn number 8 towards start. Now, actually, that is off of 5 into 6.
Yeah.
Nick Andries, just 21, getting to do his first races. His engineer is one Mark White, who has been in Indy Lights competition from the beginning. So here's Alain Day taking a look up the inside into 1.
Well, they're side by side.
Is this going to be an over-under?
Yep.
Let's see.
There you go.
Overdrove one just a bit. So Andries gets the spot back as this battle is for 11th place. But they're fighting like it's the final lap of the championship. Good battle going on here at Long Beach. Firestone Indy Lights, it's the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Good for Long Beach, California. Under caution for a single car incident. The first of this 45-lap event. As here's a look in turn number 9, Jan Bikas. Trouble for Alex Jones.
Alex Jones gets in there too hot. Didn't have a chance to make it down the escape road. It's return for Brooks Racing. Debut Indy Lights for Alex Jones. Only 22 years old, and that's valuable experience.
Panther Racing's J.R. Hildebrand with us for a couple of more minutes. And J.R., this is going to create an interesting restart situation. Back to you in just a second. Nick Andres, Jay Query made a quick pit stop under this yellow.
Came in because he had too much understeer, and the challenge they've had for Brian Herta Autosports, this is a guy who is not real familiar with the Firestone Indy Lights cars. It had a lot of understeer. He didn't get a lot of practice time because of the weather conditions over the course of the weekend, so they brought him in, tried to loosen it up a little bit, and sit that 28 back out.
Okay, so JR, Gary Airy has led all 23, soon to be 24 laps at this point. Here's the restart.
Yeah, he got a huge jump there off the last corner, so well out in the clear for Gary Airy. We'll see what we got from everybody else. Looks pretty strung out, so I'd be surprised if we get any real action here going down to the first corner, but Jakob, guys like this back here, you never really know, do you?
Munoz is still weaving. He's trying to clean his tires, making sure he has it for turn 1. Like, you know, let's close the gap.
Boy, Jan Esteban, Gary Airy on the restart off the hairpin like he was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, well, like JR said, he actually jumped on it between 9 and 10, and I believe they should do it like IndyCar, where they leave the pace car out and bring the pace car in at the last possible moment.
It would definitely keep these guys a little bit closer, because with the Firestone Indy Lights Series, everybody's on the same tire, everybody's got the same engines, everybody's got the same stuff. It's that much more difficult to make those passes happen. And so I think for sure on the restarts, when you're out in the lead, you use every bit of it to your advantage, but it definitely decreases the passing opportunities that you get going on here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were talking during the break. Why not do double file restarts to get some practice for IndyCar?
Sure.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, well, JR, look, we want to say thanks to you for stopping by. Winner here in Firestone Indy Lights in 2009, and all the best to you the remainder of the season with Panther Racing, and thanks again for lending your expertise here.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, fellas.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
J.R. Hildebrand, driver of car number 4, the Panther Racing, entering the IZOD IndyCar Series. And we appreciate his input as we are 25 of 45 complete here. Firestone Indy Lights on the streets of Long Beach. You know, Jan, we were really anticipating that restart. No one really had a chance.
I was all wound up thinking all we need is a caution. These guys are going to make some fireworks, and I think that just sets the tone. When the leader gets a jump, it just strings everyone out, and you're playing catch-up. Carboni now. Car 3 starting to put a little pressure there on the 26 of Munoz.
Yeah, and that is the battle for 5th place. As Carboni has kind of been there, though, Jan, the entire time. He's really filling the mirrors. And Munoz now trying to work on the 77 of Vautier.
And the thing about Carbone is that he has told me of the Sam Schmidt foursome, he has the smoothest driving style. They always adjust the cars slightly depending on what the driver's like. And he says, maybe I'm not as aggressive, but because I have a smoother style, I theoretically will manage my tires better. So now he should theoretically be stronger.
Well, you see Carbone off the hairpin, really working the hands. Across the line, 26 of 45 are complete. So, Jan, 19 laps to go. Now,
watch Carbone, though.
Oh, he's going to try to set him up.
He's going to try to go on the outside. Oh! Now, was that a move to one side and then a move back?
That's what it looked like. You're only allowed the one.
Yeah, you can decide that you want to take the inside, but then you have to stay there.
So will race control deem that blocking?
Well, I imagine they'll take a look at that one.
You get one move, Jan. Explain that. Explain how defending works.
The whole idea is that you can initiate a move if someone is behind you to defend, but then you have to stay there. The rule says you cannot move in reaction to. So if you look at the mirrors and you see someone change line, you can't change with them. You have to just pick your line and stay there.
Jake Query?
Interesting thing, guys, about Victor Carbone. Keep in mind, we forget sometimes the age of these drivers. This is a young man a year ago that came into this series, and you could see the progression of his confidence, but it really came to fold late in the season last year in Baltimore. His first podium, he finished second in that race. Then he ended up getting a win to end the season in Las Vegas. You could see everything kind of come together. It was going to be interesting to see what he can do this year. Keep in mind this about this young man. He is still just 19 years old.
Well, the 26 car has been warned, Jan, but has not been issued a penalty, so just a warning.
That's good. I don't think that was to the point where you'd give somebody a drive-through. I think that's a good call by Tony Cotman.
Esteban Guerrieri, before the caution, had built a 3.2-second lead. It is down to 0.8 of a second over Sebastian Saavedra. Gustavo Yakim is third. Vautier and Munoz fill out the top five at Long Beach. With Jan Bikas and Jake Query, I'm Mike King. Welcome back. It's coverage of Firestone Indy Lights on NBC Sports Network. The streets of Long Beach, California. It's been an interesting weekend weather-wise, but we have got a perfect race day here today. And Jan, right now, kind of an interesting battle behind the leaders. Esteban Guerrieri continues to lead. And as these drivers now try to work on each other, talking specifically about Carbone and Munoz, now they deal with a timed race. It is no longer a 45-lap event, but a 1-hour race.
And they seem to be getting racier. Of course, we've watched 26 Munoz, followed here by Carbone. Carbone's had a couple of opportunities while we were away, got a nose in there, but couldn't pull it off. You mentioned that Munoz has been warned about his block and then move, so he's not going to be necessarily as defensive as he had been.
Esteban Guerrieri up to this point has led all 30 laps. He has a half-second lead over Sebastian Saavedra and Jake Query. That lead, it is diminishing just ever so slightly.
Esteban Guerrieri, remember it was a year ago, Sam Schmidt. I'm sure I don't have to remind you. He started on pole. Joseph Newgarden, of course, had the lead. He crashed late. Then Connor Daly, your third driver, ended up getting the win. What did Guerrieri learn from a year ago, perhaps, that has aided him today, and is he going conservative right now?
Well, hopefully everything, because that's certainly one thing about Long Beach. Until the ticker flag drops, you have no idea who's going to win. Fortunately, last year we had 4 cars in the race and managed to come up with it. But I think he's taking a pretty conservative approach right now. Last year he was new to these cars, didn't get a very good start. Had some uncertainties with the cold tires, but he's got a year under his belt now, so hopefully that maturity will, let him lead the rest of the race.
Has he given much feedback to you about how the car is responding?
No, I mean, so far everything's been great. It was really good in the warm-up this morning, so hopefully he can withstand the pressure.
Esteban Guerrieri, guys, trying to get that win for Sam Schmidt for the second year in a row here in Long Beach.
Okay, so given we've got about 17, and we've got a piece of debris on the track. That is a mirror, Jan, off of a car, obviously one of the red cars, but you can't run in this series without both mirrors. So it's Gustavo Yakim.
Oh, my.
So good. He has to return to the pits, and he cannot continue on without both mirrors.
Wow, they haven't made that call yet, but they might make that call, and that would be a real obviously it's safety related, but I mean, he doesn't have anyone breathing down his neck right now.
And there it is. You can see he went just past it there in turn 4. How about that? So Gus loses the right side mirror.
Well, let's hope they show some leniency, because I don't see that being a safety issue. I mean, he's not in a pack right now, so maybe they'll cut him some slack.
Gary Airy is your race leader. Sebastian Saavedra, Jan, had pulled within about a half a second, and now it's back up to nearly a second. So
yeah, but he's in striking distance. This is not something that Esteban Guerrieri is going to feel comfortable about. It's not like the early part of the race. This is something where, okay, I got to mind my P's and Q's.
Oh, this is...
Oh, yeah.
That's Munoz, isn't it?
Yeah, Munoz coming off of the hairpin. He's still feeling that pressure from Carboni behind.
Yeah, so Munoz and Carboni, they've been pushing each other hard, and he slaps the wall, and that's a common occurrence here coming off the hairpin.
Oh, yeah. That is very easy to do.
So now the question is, will Gustavo Yackaman be allowed to continue on? Jake Query, he only has the one mirror. Are they going to let him stay out there?
I just asked Mark Moore that question, and his answer was simple. I don't know. There's not one here, and there's only 10 laps left. So I think they're hoping that's not the case, Mike.
While, Jan, this becomes a timed race, without a yellow, we should be able to complete all 45 laps or close to it. But either way, when the clock expires, that's when the race is over.
When that flag comes out that has the black and the white on it, then we know we're good. And at the moment, it's a case where the teams watch the clock very carefully and the laps, because obviously this might come down to a last corner dash into the hairpin. You want to be sure that it is actually the last lap. It wouldn't be the first time somebody has miscalculated, thinking that they make the move that didn't in fact bring the victory.
How much does this impede Yackaman not having the right side mirror?
Well, it's just a safety thing, and in fact we just heard from race control that he will have to turn onto pit road.
Oh, boy.
You know, a rule is a rule, I understand, but I was kind of thinking, hey, kind of like his team, there's only 10 laps to go, there's nobody right behind him, but when you're officiating, you've got to go by the letter of the law, unfortunately.
And this is really going to crush his championship hopes. He came in 4th, Jan, 33 points back, and it's going to be tough for Gustavo Yackaman now.
Well, you lose about 30 seconds. Besides, you can't just do a drive-through. You actually need a mirror. We've heard they don't have one.
That's right.
So it's not like you can rejoin. You're going to the back.
Well, here's your battle up front. The 11 is Esteban Guerrieri. He was on pole here a year ago. Finished second to Connor Daly. And the 27 car, that is Sebastian Saavedra, and he's coming, isn't he, Jan?
This could be great.
So Saavedra, who won a couple of weeks ago at Barber Motorsports Park, second in the championship, only 4 points separating him from Tristan Vautier. Right now, Vautier is shown 4th, but if Yackaman pulls off, Vautier will move up to 3rd. But he's not figuring into this battle. Just over 7/10 of a second separating 1st and 2nd. And you see the clock at the top of your screen, just under 13 minutes remaining, Jake Query.
Here is the issue. They have been told, Team Moore has, that they are allowed the time to find a mirror for Gustavo Yackaman, but he must have it replaced. So the question becomes, if they don't have one, how long is he allowed to stay out? But right now they are giving the team time to get a mirror for Yackaman to get it changed.
So trouble for Gustavo Yackaman as he loses the right side mirror. They are telling him he will have to come to pit lane. He currently runs 3rd. Guerrieri and Saavedra battling out front at the beach. Argentina's Esteban Guerrieri trying to hold off Colombia's Sebastian Saavedra here in the closing minutes of Firestone Indy Lights action. On the streets of Long Beach, California, Mike King along with Jan Vikas and Jake Query. And boy, Guerrieri really stepped on the gas that last lap. Jan, he has stretched the lead back out to nearly a second and a half.
Definitely looked like Saavedra was closing in, trying to put pressure on him, and it may well have been a case where Guerrieri is just making sure he had something to save. But again, Sam Schmidt said it well. It is not over until you get across the finish line here. But certainly that has got to be Saavedra's goal. Get close enough to put pressure.
Gustavo Jacobin in the yellow, white, and red car is currently running in third place, but he has a bit of a dilemma, Jan, in that he has lost his right side mirror, and either way, whether he comes in or not, he's going to be penalized.
Yes, in fact, we have received a ruling from race control. If he does not pit, they will give him a time penalty as if he did. So that would be probably in the 1 minute range, if not more. So he will be at the very end of the order, bar those people who crashed out already.
His team owner had told Jake Perry earlier they didn't have a replacement mirror. So they're giving him time to try to locate one.
I had said earlier about some leniency, and the series is doing a nice job saying, well, fine. You just have to make sure you hit pit road before the end of the race. Go find yourself a mirror. And we joked, well, just run down there and find Alex Jones' car and borrow his mirror.
Yeah, parts car. Tristan Vautier in the 77 came into this race as our championship leader. He runs fourth right now, but would obviously inherit third place. And running behind him is Victor Carboni, who's currently shown fifth.
And there you're seeing the contrast in styles. We've talked about Carboni, third in the picture, having a smoother style. 2 team cars. Tristan Vautier, much more aggressive with his hands and with the setup. And so near the end of the race, it looks like advantage Carboni. But these are team cars. And you and I talked during the break. Vautier is the one running for the championship. They know ahead of them, Jacobin's going to have to hit pit road. So these are valuable points. You got to be careful you don't end up, having some contact and losing really valuable points.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 77 does not need to take any unnecessary chance to get around the 2 car because he's going to give up that position anyway.
Well, I will say, though, they're going to be not too happy about the fact that he hasn't reported to pit lane yet, because they certainly, there's no question that when you run in dirty air behind someone, that's putting him now more in the clutches of Carboni.
Gary Airy out in front now by nearly 2 seconds. As you see the leaders now make the left-hand turn into turn number 1. 3 laps to go if we stay green. If not, we go back to the time situation. So the closing stages here at the beach, but it was last year that we thought Joseph Newgarden had this race wrapped up in the late stages, and he wound up burying the car in the tire barrier in turn number 8. As we go on board, Jan, with Nick Andries making his first start in Firestone Indy Lights.
And Nick Andries coming from the Star Mazda side of things. Anytime a Star Mazda driver comes to Long Beach, it's a new venue because the Star Mazda series doesn't race here. So Tristan Vautier, of course, is an example, and he, as we said, was on the provisional pole. So these Star Mazda guys getting their footing. Nick Andries, as we talked about, making his debut, 21 years old. Got some T-Bolt sponsorship along with Barracuda Networks from Brian Herta Autosport. And just, as we said, actually made a pit stop, put some more front wing into it. Hitting the rev limiter. Now, that's another reason why you would put some front wing, because if you're already hitting the rev limiter at the end of the straightaway anyway, go ahead and put some more front downforce in and take advantage of it.
And he's running behind Ibrahim.
Yep.
As they make that. So, and you just heard, they're going to see the white flag next time by, Jan. So right now, Gary Airy, he's stretched it out to nearly a 2-second lead over Sebastian Saavedra. And Esteban Guerrieri, this would be a big win for him.
And he has done everything. Well, we don't want to.
That's right.
He's not home yet, but he's done all the winning ways. In fact, he did one of them twice. He struck early, and then he struck in the middle. That restart that he had was awesome.
Absolutely. So Esteban,
here we go.
That's David Ostella and the 4-car of Jorge Goncalves doing battle as Ostella is going to pick up 9th place. Yeah, so still some good fights going on. Back behind the leaders. As the leaders will see the white flag this time on what has been a picture-perfect day for racing here on the streets of Long Beach, California. And there is your leader, Esteban Guerrieri, off the hairpin. And he'll see the white flag, Jan, this time.
And apparently, Gustavo Jacobin in third is not going to pit. He's going to take his time penalty instead.
So Esteban Guerrieri, the young man from Buenos Aires, Argentina, last year started on pole, wound up second here. Jan, he was on the front row 9 times in 2011, was only able to convert that into 3 victories. This would be a real confidence booster, I think.
He had a lot of confidence this morning. I talked to him after the warm-up, and of course Jake did as well. He just got out of the car, was very confident. He won one warm-up. You know, we joke about that. It doesn't pay anything, but he was the fastest driver. And his starts and restarts, remember, he won this. He hasn't won it yet, but if he does win this race, it was because the way he got through turn number 1.
Isn't it amazing how cautious you have to be about giving them anything before they come off the hairpin and cross the line for the final time? Now, keep in mind, once again, that Jakoman in the yellow, white, and red car is going to receive a time penalty. So while he is shown third on the track right now, he is not going to be given that spot. He will not be on the podium. Here comes your race leader. And Jan, a great race for Esteban Guerrieri.
Everything perfect from start to finish. Nicely done.
Esteban Guerrieri will see the twin checkers, and he will be able to call himself a winner at Long Beach as he finishes a second and a half in front of Sebastian Saavedra. Saavedra will take over the championship lead. Gustavo Jakoman, while he comes across the line third, will incur the time penalty and will very likely, Jan, I would say what? He's probably going to be knocked, knocked down 4 or 5 spots.
I think it'll be a big time penalty. My guess is they'll put him all the way back in 13th or 14th
Oh, you think
spot.
so?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think because he would have spent time for repairs. But anyway, let's get back certainly to this. And I think for Esteban Guerrieri, you saw briefly in the background his crew. Tim Neff is his engineer, has been around in IndyCar, kart, Champ Car. There are some very, very talented drivers and engineers up and down this paddock.
This guy's going to be really happy to talk to Jake Query in victory lane. Esteban Guerrieri celebrates the win at the beach. So this one's in the books, but the results not yet official because of the penalty that's going to be handed down to Gustavo Jakoman. Esteban Guerrieri, though, they're not going to take this one away from him. He is the winner. Sebastian Saavedra winds up second in the race, but now he is number 1 in the championship. You saw Jakoman there. He will be dropped once the penalty is assessed. Let's hear from the winner. Esteban Guerrieri is with Jake Query.
This is a scene that we saw 3 times last season, and now for the first time this season. How about that from the Argentinian Esteban Guerrieri? He was guns a-blazing here in Long Beach, and he gets the win for the 2nd straight year. Sam Schmidt Motorsports Victory Circle, and it all came on turn number 1. Take me through it.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good start for me. We just went for a little bit less wing, you know, less aero, so I could try a bit on the start, and it just paid off. So very, very good choice with my team. And yeah, after that push to get the gap, 3 seconds gap, then I was comfortable, and I just keep it there. The safety car then came out, the yellow flags, and it took me a while to get again to pace. You know, the tires were a bit cold. Once I got there again, I just tried not to make any mistake and bring it home.
And let me ask you this, Esteban. Let's walk down here because I want to talk to Sam Schmidt as well. But take me through these tires. We see him here. How aggressive was this track on these tires?
No, actually, they lasted quite good. After the safety car, I just saved them a little bit as well, you know, thinking I pushed too much in the beginning. But they just went off in the last 5 laps. So the rest of the race was really good. So thanks to Firestone, thanks to Sam Schmidt, to the whole team, to the whole crowd, which they are around there. And to all my sponsors that they trust me from Argentina, and I could be here, so I'm really, really happy.
And he said, thanks to this man, Sam Schmidt. This is becoming a habit at Long Beach for you. Congratulations.
Long Beach is a good place. I never got to race here personally, and last year was our first victory here, so I'd love to be here every year.
Last year, of course, it was Connor Daly. This year, Esteban Guerrieri. Sam Schmidt Motorsports back in Victory Circle in Long Beach, California.
Yeah, and so while Esteban Guerrieri celebrates the win, he is going to pick up some valuable points in the championship. Now just 2 behind Sebastian Saavedra. Tristan Vautier drops from the lead to 4 back. Gustavo Jakoman, we'll just have to wait and see, Jan, where that's going to shake out. And Victor Carboni right now is listed.
And you saw Gustavo Jakoman in the back. He was already on the way to the podium. So I think there could be a little discrepancy.
Gus, you're going to have to give us the hat back. So another great day at the beach. Always is. It's a fabulous event. And you see, of course, the rest of the unofficial points after 3 of 12 races. So this is going to change just a bit. Oliver Webb, unfortunately, Jan, for the 2nd consecutive event, has troubles at the start.
And he has very, very high hopes. So many people speak so highly of him. He comes with a great reputation from Europe, and he'll rebound.
Carlos Munoz, we saw the battles there. Armand Abraham is currently tied with him for 8th in the championship, and David Ostella had a couple of good battles himself as well. Coming up next, NBC Sports Talk. The Eyes Out IndyCar Series continues here on the NBC Sports Network. Sunday, April 29th, the Sao Paulo Indy 300 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be back Friday, May 25th at noon Eastern for the Freedom 100 from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For more information on the IndyCar Series, go to NBCSports.com. For Jake Query and Jan Bikas, I'm Mike King. Congratulations to Esteban Guerrieri. He's the winner today at the beach.